here at the beach in the morning, you need your coffee and you need your skin so soft because those no-see-ins are horrible in the mornings. Come on, sit down with me, have a cup of coffee. You don't need skin so soft because you're not here. Man, did it rain last night. Whew. I mean, look behind us. See the clouds? Yeah, it's been that way pretty much since we've been here. Rain off and on. But last night was a big storm. Big storm. Thunder, lightning, pour down rain. So I want to get out here and enjoy our last morning here at Sanibel. So I grabbed my Skin So Soft. Gotta have that when you're here at Sanibel. And a cup of coffee. And you. Because I want to tell you that the trip here was quite successful, even though we had the rain, because we were able to install our Starlink. Now, some of you may be asking, why did you go to Starlink? And I'm going to explain that. I'm also going to show you how easy it was for us to install Starlink in our Airstream. But let's go back to the purpose of why. Last year, when we got our first rig, we did local parks here in the state of Florida. And what we found was that in most cases, their Wi-Fi was absolutely horrible. And I'm not really blaming so much the RV parks, because there's a reason why internet gets so slow. Now, in full disclosure, and I've said it before, I'm not an RV technician. I'm not an electrician. I'm not no certified mechanic. I'm just a retired Marine. And I don't look at things through the technical standpoint because I'm not a tech person. I'm a common sense person. So when someone has talked to me about the Mbps or Gbps or NBC, ABC, I don't know. I don't know what all that stuff means. All I want to know is that when we get to a destination and I go to turn on TV, I don't want to sit there and watch it just buffer. I don't want to open up my laptop and try to get a document and have to wait for it and it's spinning and spinning and spinning. I don't want that. I want to be able to turn on the TV and boom, I'm watching TV. I don't want to be watching a movie and all of a sudden, and the most exciting part of it, it starts to buffer and I miss it. So what I'm looking for is the common sense approach of I want it to work. Just as simple as that. And the problem with Wi-Fi is, if I could use an example, if you're driving to work in the morning, we've all done that. We all got stuck into rush hour traffic. Think of Wi-Fi as that traffic. If it's during the normal day, traffic probably is not too bad and you're able to do things. But when you put a lot of vehicles on the road at one time, it slows down or even stops. Wi-Fi does kind of the same thing. See, when you're in an RV park and you get there during normal days and maybe there's not as many people there, your Wi-Fi may be okay. But let the RV park be full and everybody's trying to use that same Wi-Fi, it slows it down. So think of it as that rush hour traffic. Well, we don't want that rush hour traffic, but a lot of times you can't really avoid it. Well, our first trip out west, we went to Montana, and we knew that we needed some type of Wi-Fi contraption to be able to get Wi-Fi. We knew that we couldn't rely on the RV parks. So what we did was we did some research, and at the time we found the T-Mobile home internet. I like to refer to that as that silver can. And to be quite honest, that trip to Montana, it worked great. However, our second trip out west, we went up into the Rocky Mountains and then up through Denver, and then we went over to Moab, and then we went to the Grand Canyon, and then we came back to Florida. Good trip. We really enjoyed ourselves. But what we found was that that silver can, it wasn't quite so good when we hit the Rocky Mountains. Not good at all, matter of fact. But we had our spots where we actually could get our internet. So when we came back and we decided, well, we're going to get ready for our next trip out west, I started doing some research and I actually took the tin can, that silver can, at our home, and I ran a test on it. And it performed miserably in the normal part of the day. Miserable. I even took it and put an extension cord and put it on top of the Jeep out in the driveway. Still miserable. I contacted T-Mobile. T-Mobile says, well, you got the old version, you need to get the new version. So we went down to a trade-in, and talking to the gentleman there at the T-Mobile store, we told them what we were using it for. And he goes, well, just to let you know that that's not what it was designed for. It wasn't designed to travel. And T-Mobile has caught on to the people using this for travel purposes. And what they're doing is they're dialing back the service once you start leaving an area. So you may get into remote areas that you may not have any service because T-Mobile is dialing it down, so to speak. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, I'm paying for it. If I'm paying for a service, whether I have it sit in my house or I have it sit in my RV, what difference does it make? He goes, it's not what it was designed for. He said, I'm just giving you fair warning. So I went back and I did some research. And it's true. That's exactly what T-Mobile has done. They're dialing this back. But I even took the silver can, put it back out on the Jeep. This is the new silver can, back on top of my Jeep, and it performed horribly. Why? I don't know. All I know is that we were getting ready to make a trip out west, and we needed Wi-Fi service. So I started doing some research, and actually found one that people talk pretty highly of. Yeah, a lot of noise going on. Well, anyway, so we found this contraption, and it's really based on cell towers. And cell towers, they say it works good because the way it's advertised is that once you get into an area, it's supposed to pick up the strongest cell phone tower it could be. And it could be multiple. Say, for instance, it's T-Mobile, or say it's Verizon. You know, whatever the case may be, AT&T, it's going to pick up the strongest signal. So you're going to have this Wi-Fi through a cell tower regardless of wherever you go. And that's not necessarily true. Yes, you can pick up cell phone service from different towers, but what we didn't know was that the contraption that we had, actually, if you don't have the service, you call into the company and the company will find out which is the best one for you to be connecting to, and they will connect you to that one. Which that becomes very tedious, especially when you've been traveling, you pull in, you get your rig set up, you turn on your TV, it's not working, it's buffering, you call the place up, it's after hours, you got to put in a ticket. I will say they did respond and they did get a service when they could. However though, it's a big inconvenience and it's a lot of trouble. And the cost of it, you're talking about, you know, over $100 a month. And in our case, it was like $139 a month. Now, could have we gotten it cheaper from somewhere else? Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe the service wouldn't be as good or whatever the case may be. Either way you look at it, we weren't that satisfied with it. Especially when we got into the Rocky Mountains. See, the Rocky Mountains become a real challenge because you got the mountains. And so the service doesn't come in as good in a lot of places. We were actually in Cody, Wyoming, and at the RV park, their reception was not good. But what the guy said at the desk, he says, welcome to the Rockies. because you're going to find Wi-Fi is going to be challenging everywhere you go in the Rockies. There'll be some places that are good, and there'll be places that you have nothing. And it's absolutely true. Actually, when we were in the Black Hills, we were 3 days with no cell phone whatsoever. Even the company couldn't get us anything. So what we really realized in this last trip, that we need something that was more dependable. That's why we ended up going to Starlink. But then it was like, okay, do we go with the bigger one or we go with the mini one? And there's pluses and minuses for each one of them. We ended up choosing the mini. And the reason why we chose the mini, primarily reason, is because we have found we like to do a lot of boondocking. And the Starlink is going to use up quite a bit of power. That'd be your bigger one. It provides more power for you, but you're using more power out of your batteries. And we didn't want that because we really don't care about the Mbps and Gbps and all that other kind of stuff. We don't, it's working. If it's going to work, it's going to give us enough to do what we want to do, to watch TV, to go on our laptops. Is it going to do that? And what we found is that, and what we've seen from other people, that it does. So we also look at the power that's being drawn off the battery. Are we going to be drawing our batteries down too quickly, go with a big one, and are we willing to sacrifice our batteries to have more power? So we thought the Mini would be really the ideal thing. What we found, and we knew about it, but we really didn't take consideration in getting the Mini, was that space. The dish itself is outside. Well, on the older versions, the bigger residential or the residential ones, they actually have a router that comes with them. That router goes inside. The Mini doesn't have a router. The router is actually built into the dish, so you don't have a router inside your rig. This saves on space. I don't have this router sitting on a table somewhere. All I have is just the plug that plugs in to the outlet. That's it. So the Mini has many different type of pluses rather than minuses. You know, we're not carrying it backpacking and all that stuff there, but we do want something that's going to be proficient, less space, and draws less electricity. And the Mini really fit that. But what about performance? Well, we are now doing our test mode on performance of the Mini. And let me say this, the connection is very simple, as well as what we've had so far is we've only had a few times that it did quick bufferings. Now, why I think it is some quick bufferings is because the location of our dish. Our Mini is actually located on the front of our RV. We did not come prepared to mount the dish. We came here to install it and test it. So the install of the Starlink was quite simple, and we're going to go over that. And really, the amount of tools that you need, you know, a screwdriver, you know, Phillips screwdriver, or something just a little pry up the wood in underneath the bed there. That was it. I mean, there was no major tools involved. Wasn't complicated. It was quite simple.
The first part of the install was to remove the mattress. This shows a piece of pie looking plywood in the corner. We took the caps off of that piece of plywood, and that exposes the Phillips head screws. Then we took our drill with a Phillips head attachment and removed those screws. Then we took our little prying tool and popped out that piece of plywood that looks like a pie. Right below there is our inverter, but the inverter is not what we're looking for. We're looking for this gap here where you can see with the hatch open, the sunshine comes in. We'll run our cable, and then you can see where this piece of foam is where the cable is actually going to lie. Without any cutting or drilling, we just simply fed the end of the cable through that gap. You can see how the light shines through, so it was easy to see where it goes. Then once it was through that gap, then we could take the cable itself in through that piece of foam and start feeding it through. Now, as we're feeding this through, Siri is on the outside grabbing that cable and starting to pull it.
Nice and easy.
Okay. So I'm pulling it nice and easy.
Keep going. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Hold on, let me untangle this wire here. So we fed our cord out. Now the question is can you close this? Then you have foam here. Can we close this without it pinching it? We need to figure out a way, which is the best, that we can run this out without it pinching. And here it is, right here, right here. Well, watch what happens when we close it. It closes it. It doesn't let it go, but it doesn't pinch the cord. So this is the way we need to bring it out. There, this can fold up or it can be out.
And then the weather's not cooperating. It's starting to rain.
Right now we're just going to leave this here.
Right.
We'll just take and this is water resistant, by the way. Actually it is. It's water resistant. Matter of fact, you could slightly submerge this in water, so they say.
Wow.
So the rain will not hurt this at all. So let's take care of the excess cord. Yeah. So now, actually,
Well, that's good that they give you excessive cord like that.
this should have been underneath there.
Uh-oh.
So let's see if I can hold this. Now, this is good for right now.
Okay. So it's set up.
Now that we've got the wires ran, or the wire ran, and that just out here, now we're going to go back inside and we're going to plug it in and go through the downloading process. I know there's going to be some updates we're going to have to do, but we'll have to download the app and do all the necessary electrical, technological stuff. Hold on.
Before we start doing our download and our setup, we first need to plug the other end of the cable into our wall adapter. Very simple to do. Just plug that in and then take the adapter and plug that into your wall outlet. If you notice here that there is little space that's actually used. You don't have a router sitting on the table, making this very simple. Finished product, beds are made, and the Adapter is plugged in. Very nice and simple installation.
But right now, we're going into our testing mode. And to be honest with you, we've only had a couple times that the TV buffered real quickly. And I don't think that's really Starlink's problem. I think that's our problem. You see, when we installed it, we just installed it just to get it, the wire to run inside the rig and for it to work. And let me show you where we actually installed it at. This is a temporary install. It's not a permanent.
With the forecasted storms that were expected while we were at Sanibel, we were very worried that little Mini would blow away in a storm. I mean, figure it's so light. So what we did, we temporarily installed it on top of our LP tank cover with a bungee strap. This allowed it to remain firmly in place through all the storms and keep great reception. Very happy for this temporary solution.
So being a temporary install, we were really concerned about it just blowing away. So we just put the bungee straps in place. But as we travel around, we want to be able to see other places that we can install it to get better signal. Because right now, the side of the Airstream does do some blocking. It is part of obstruction. You want that to set up higher. But like I said, for now, the way we set it up is fine. It's actually working better than our old service did when we were here last time. So that being said, so far we're very satisfied with the Starlink Mini. Once again, we are going to test it in different locations. We're going to figure out a way to raise it up higher, whatever we need to do to be able to get the best service. But the true test will be the next time we go up into the Rockies. That will be the test that really tells the tale. That I'm looking forward to. So for right now, Starlink is good.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this week's Starlink upgrade. And please comment below if you'd like to see more of our projects and ideas. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For Sari, I'm John, Our Ventures Today.